Channel 10 Nelson, your community access television. Programming on this channel is made by local volunteers. If you would like to be a part of your community television, please call 354-4200 or write to Shaw Cable, 613 Ward Street, Nelson, B1L1T2.
BC Hydro and its subsidiary Powerex have showed up in Nelson to give the public an opportunity to learn more about their power alternatives and their application to the federal and provincial government about energy trade and transfer. I wondered if you could just explain to me what the open house's purpose is.
The open house is phase 2 of our public consultation program. First phase involved talking to various interest groups that had expressed concern and interest in regard to exports outside the province. And what we wanted to do was develop a program that would enable us to meet with the public and address those concerns. And phase 2, the open houses, are where we are carrying this out, as well as meeting again with some of the interest groups that we had met with before. Phase 2 will end when our application is ready to be presented to the Ministry of Energy, Mines and Petroleum Resources, MEMPR, in regard to our ERC, or Energy Removal Certificate application for the province. And phase 3 will start shortly afterward, and that will involve development of a public consultation program with the public in regard to long-term exports.
In layman's terms, then, what does this application refer to? You were saying it's not the long-term energy trades, so what is it?
The applications refer to short-term electricity trade. That would be exports or trade up to possibly 6 years. That would be the maximum length of the applications. And they really relate to electricity trade as it was carried on in the previous licenses that we have.
Is there anything different in this application that hasn't shown up in past years?
The application has been increased partly because of our increased tie capacity or transfer capability from BC south of the border. And it also has to consider other transfers that would be involved in exchanges of energy outside the province, as well as energy that flows due to coordination. The licenses are concerned with energy that leaves the province. They don't consider that in some cases that energy is swapped out of the province and then back in again. So that it's only concerned with energy that leaves the province. So in some cases, in the cases of exchanges or coordination, the net transfer out of the province could well be zero. In other words, we may bring in the same energy that we sent out, or vice versa.
The role of these open houses in the application process, what is it, and who's insisting that these open houses are held?
Well, again, this is BC Hydro's and Powerex's development of a program to address any concerns that relate to electricity trade. Now, in terms of the applications, the government regulations also require that there be a demonstration of public consultation. But our consultation goes past that. It will carry on past these applications.
You mentioned concerns, and I suppose that's what an open house like this is supposed to give people a chance to voice their concerns if they have any, and for BC Hydro Powerex to make some explanations. What have been some of the concerns that you've heard voiced?
Well, one concern that we heard voiced was concern for long-term export commitments, and that is not part of this application. Any long-term firm commitments would have to be reviewed on an individual basis. So we're really dealing here with short-term electricity trade.
From what I've heard of the report that was on at council the other night, it seems that there are some benefits to trading energy with the states in Alberta. Could you encapsulate what some of those benefits are?
Yes. One of the benefits that we would have with Alberta, for example, is because our system and their system are in different time zones, then there's the opportunity to trade what is called capacity or generating ability to meet demand from hour to hour. So where they might have a peak in the wee hours of our morning, and we would have a peak later on in the day, we can affect transfers of capacity between the two systems. We can also affect transfers of energy on a seasonal basis with the American utilities. Their systems, which are primarily hydro-based, tend to experience higher inflows during the freshet period earlier than we do. So we can store the energy when they have their peak flows and can't use it, and then return it at a time when it's later needed by them. Now, by doing that, there are effectively gains that can be made in terms of efficiency of the two systems. We can also get into coordination of various systems to improve the efficiency of our projects and their projects. And what this does is perhaps a little more complicated, but in terms of the firm capability of a system, if our system can carry a certain load during its critical or low water periods, then there's a certain diversity between our system and other systems, for example, in the U.S. or in Alberta. And by the two systems coordinating, it's possible for us to obtain greater amounts of firm generating capability. Effectively, we're operating the two systems more efficiently than if we did operate the systems independently. What this does is it effectively means that there's more energy available for the two systems, and this has an effect of delaying the need for new projects.
New projects, i.e. you won't need to build more dams as early, is that what you're saying?
That's correct. And in fact, programs like the Power Smart program, which are encouragement of conservation of energy, have the same effect. By encouraging people to save energy, it means that in the long run, it will actually cause a decrease in those particular loads, which then will delay the need for new projects. So there's a lot of initiatives that we have underway to try and delay the need for new projects. This is a change from some of the previous program expansions that were seen in the past. So by encouraging people to be more efficient in their use of electricity, and by us looking for ways to be more efficient in how we and other systems operate, we can try and delay the need for new projects.
I understand these open houses are being held simultaneously throughout the province. Is that right now? Or is this a traveling roadshow that will go to other towns?
Well, this is the third of our open houses. The first was in Prince George, the second was in Vernon, and there will be further ones in Victoria and Vancouver.
What's the turnout been like?
The turnout has been a little lower than what we had expected, probably about 20 or 30 at each open house. It's a little less than what we thought it would be.
And why do you think less people are turning out than you originally had anticipated?
I think because of phase 2 of our consultation program, we had talked to a number of the interest groups, and I think that probably provided some of them with the information that they needed. But we've also been having meetings with them while we have also been having the open houses. So I think probably they've been expressing their concerns, and we've been discussing those in those meetings, and that's probably why they're not attending the open houses.
Is there any doubt in your mind that this application will be approved by the federal government?
Well, we really don't know what the outcome will be, and that's the reason for this process, is to discuss the concerns and present our information, and then it will be reviewed by the provincial and federal government to see whether what we're talking about in terms of electricity trade is surplus to the needs of the province. If it is, then probably the licenses would be granted, but in the process, the provincial and federal government still have the option of requiring hearings.
Have you ever been turned down in the past?
Our previous license application was modified by the government's. We had requested a 6-year firm license, and that had been reduced to a 4-year firm license.
Okay. Well, thanks very much for your time, Mr. Knight. We appreciate it. Mr. Geissler, you were telling us about this BC Hydro pamphlet, and that normally it's about a 15-minute presentation, but I wonder if you could briefly encapsulate what's in this and what it means for the people of BC.
This document is called the Electricity Plan, which we produce every 2 years and update on every quarter. And it's basically a document to explain the supply and demand of electricity. And part of my role is to go throughout the Southern Interior and describe this whole process to the people of the province and to get their views on the supply and demand of electricity. I like to look at or try to explain the use of electricity by asking people to imagine a bar balance with a fulcrum in the middle and all the use of electricity at one end of the scale and all the supply of electricity at the other end of the balance. And electrical engineering principles indicate that balance has to be maintained all the time. Last year, there were 25,000 new homes added to BC. That meant this end of the scale started to drop. The load was increasing. We had 4,000 new businesses added to British Columbia. All of those requested a connection to the electrical system. The traditional approach has always been, as this end of the scale goes down, to balance it, we've added more generation. That has been the traditional approach. And BC Hydro, 3 to 4 years ago, said, let's rethink this whole process. The public have been asking us for years to look at the consumer out here. We've never asked the consumer to look at the way they use electricity. Perhaps there are ways that they could use less or use it more efficiently. And at the same time, which we've called the Power Smart program, and at the same time, on the other end of the balance, rather than looking at the traditional approach of just adding new generation, what else can we do? So we looked at our own resources, the dams that are built today with reservoirs that perhaps waste water. There are many reservoirs where water just goes over the dam because the generator capacity cannot utilize all the water. That's a program that we call our Resource Smart program. Build something at existing facilities to harness that water. In this particular area, you may have witnessed Brilliant. It's owned by Cominco, and water goes over the dam a large part of the year. We are working with Cominco to try and reach some agreement on how we can harness that. That's the Resource Smart program, has a lot of potential throughout the province. At the same time, we have coordination with other utilities. We are interconnected to 70 other utilities on the west coast of North America. And there's a lot of opportunity to work together to maximize the efficiency of those systems. Rather than one individual building a large block of energy that they can't use all the time, let's tie our systems together and share all of that through energy trade. We sell energy, we purchase energy, we coordinate the operation, and we exchange on an emergency basis as well. That takes advantage of the seasonal differences from Alberta to New Mexico, and also the time zone changes between Alberta and BC. In addition to that, we have these cogeneration that we would like to encourage throughout the province to eliminate a lot of the waste wood incinerators that we have, and at the same time, those same people that waste that wood buy electricity from us to produce steam. Perhaps you could use that wood to produce steam to use in their plant and use the steam to produce electricity. If they can't use all the electricity themselves, then we'll purchase it from them. We will also purchase electricity from independent power producers, smaller producers around the province that can also supply electricity. These are options available to BC through Power Smart, Resource Smart, coordination, cogeneration, before you even have to add the traditional approach, adding a new dam, or adding some large system to keep this scale balanced. We can perhaps meet the need for electricity in this province for some time down the road on those non-traditional approaches. But down the road, something has to be looked at to see how we can continue to meet the increasing demand for electricity. And we very much would like to see and hear the views of the public, the views of the people of British Columbia on how they would like to see this province developed from an electrical point of view, since that's our business. Is it the hydro approach that has been used in the past? Is it a thermal approach? Is energy conservation perhaps taken to its fullest amount? Those are views that we would like to hear from the province. It's their province, and how they would like to see this province developed, we very much would like to hear from them. Those views will be then placed into an updated document. And again, we go out to the public and ask them, is this the way you see the province developed? And it's an evolving process, it's a changing process, and one I encourage everybody to contact us on.
Thanks very much for your time, Mr. Geissler.
You're very welcome.
I guess my most immediate concern is the question, or making sure that the short-term contracts are the predominant ones in Powerex, and also be sure that if the contract is ended, that we're not going to come under very heavy pressure to renew it, even though we may think at the time that we don't want to renew it. I guess that's probably my chief concern.
BC Hydro's open houses are being held across the province to give the public a chance to learn more about their energy alternatives and their Power Smart programs. Here at BC Hydro's open house, I'm Sonya Nordahl for Shaw Cable.